is a dynamite reputation not a good thing to have? We're going to talk about that today on Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. I invite you to join Eli and me as we discuss reputations and what they do for you. Hello again, everybody. I'm Eli's dad, and welcome again to Project Eli. Let's get right into it. All right, we're going to talk about reputations. And the thing that prompted me to focus on reputations, unfortunately, is an incident that, some incidences that we had with my son up at camp. Okay, everybody can not act perfectly at times, and this is one of the times. I got reports from people that I know at camp, people that I trust, people that are looking out only for my benefit and the benefit of my son, that there were some activities that were kind of hurtful that were performed. And when I was 14, I'm not perfect. I did some things that were not perfect also, and I can understand that, but they still need to be corrected. And I'm facing a conundrum. And here's the conundrum that I'm facing, folks. And if you want to help me with this, we can change educate, lead, and inspire, or you educate, lead, and inspire me, because I could certainly use some help. But here's what I came up with, and this coming from the heart and not from the keister. Eli's up at camp, and the camp season ends 2 days after school starts where he lives. He goes to camp up in Maine. He lives in Texas. So school started on Thursday. He doesn't come home until Saturday or Sunday, so he's starting 2 days late. However, the activities that happened at camp do need to be corrected. However, here's my conundrum. I need to keep my eye on the ball, on the mission. And the mission right now is getting Eli into a school rhythm, because he's been at camp for 8 weeks. He's had all of these fun activities, and that's the life he's had for the last 8 weeks. And now it's time to buckle down, so we go immediately from all play. Now we go to an environment where it's time to get back to school, it's time to be disciplined, it's time to be under control. And so I need to get Eli into that rhythm. So my first reaction when I heard about the stuff that went on at camp was, well, let's just say homicide was one of the thoughts that entered my mind. However, I gave them some additional thought, and I said to myself, and this is something I suggested everybody else that people do as well, is whenever you have an emotional scenario, is that you take time and not have a knee-jerk reaction, which is easy to do. So I gave the matter some thought. I had a couple hours, and I thought to myself, if I come down on him right now, right before he goes to school, that's not going to put us in the right frame of mind that we need to move forward. Now, it certainly needs a talking to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It needs to be corrected. However, I need to focus on the mission. And the mission right now, right this minute, is to get Eli ready for school. So that's the mission. So I'm going to put this on the side right now and get him focused on school, because the timing is not right. So the first point I want to make is always keep your eye on the mission. Don't put yourself in a position where you have a knee-jerk reaction that jeopardizes what you want to do long-term. And you have to coordinate your efforts in that direction. And it's difficult, because you really want to make necessary corrections all the time, but sometimes you can't do that. All right, the next thing I need to think about is when I do approach this situation, how am I going to approach it? Now, I've heard from very reputable people that I know and I trust, and I know are telling me the truth, exactly what happened. So do I want to come from a position of being an accuser? I don't think so. I don't think that's the proper approach. The proper approach from my perspective is to ask questions. So, Eli, what did you learn at camp? How did it go at camp? What went on at camp? Give him a chance to tell me about what the scenario is and get his perspective. Don't want to go in there with a, mind made up, the jury already, handing in the verdict before you hear what he has to say. However, you have to take in mind that the people that are telling me this have unbelievably good evidence, and they're very responsible, and I've known them my whole life. And if anything, they would be giving my son the benefit of the doubt as opposed to trying to go the other way. So when I was told about the things that went on, the person telling me was doing so with tremendous amount of regret. Now, just prior to sending Eli to camp, I spent a real serious amount of time talking with him, because I've been 14 years old myself. I may not look it, but I've been 14 years old myself. And I know the trouble you can get into. It's your body, your hormones, everything is going off all at once. And you don't have all the reason that you have when you're in your 20s, your 30s, or my age when you're in your, what would I say? Okay, anyway, so you got to keep all of those things in mind, and you got to make everything a learning experience. And the scenario now isn't the final product, because what we're interested in is the final product. So here's the point. How am I going to make this a learning experience so that these bad acts don't reoccur, so that my son stops and thinks, so that we make this turn this negative into a positive? All right. Now the problem is that once you do something, and this is the point I made with him before he went to camp, I said, this situation's going to come up. I know it's going to come up because I was your age once, and it comes up. So here's what you need to do. You need to think about the things that you're doing, because they affect your reputation. And the thing is, once you do something that's not so good and people get a mindset, that's what they retain about you. That's not what you want to have happen if it's negative. And this is negative. So we're going to have to perform some awfully good acts to change this negative reputation that he has with the folks at camp into a positive reputation. And that's going to take some doing. That's going to take some maturing. But that's what parents are here for, isn't it? I mean, that's why we're here. So we as parents, we as heads of businesses, okay, because isn't a family essentially a business? We have to give some careful consideration to how we act, how we respond, and the actions that we take. Are they going to move the process forward? That's the aim. And the reputation scenario, you've got to always be aware of your reputation, because if people don't trust you for the little things, why should they trust you for the big things? They shouldn't. They won't. That's the point. So as an example, if Eli were to right now, this minute, say, hey Dad, I want to go and buy a car. He's not of age yet, but let's assume that he's going to be of age soon. Okay, by the time this video comes out, he's going to be 15 already. If he wants to buy a car, what do you suppose the answer is going to be? It's going to be no. Because at this particular point, I can't trust his maturity level to make good decisions. And when you're behind the wheel of a car, you've got to be making good decisions. Now I'm using a simple example, but you can interpolate that to business decisions and other personal decisions that people make. So your reputation is everything. Now, I want to make some points to you about reputation. You remember we started off by saying, when is a dynamite reputation not a good thing? Well, I'm going to give you the perfect example. Have you ever heard of the Nobel Prize? Okay, that's something they give out a peace prize, they give out a prize in science, they give out a lot of Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prize was instituted by a man named Alfred Nobel. And Alfred Nobel was a Swedish businessman, chemist, engineer, inventor, and philanthropist. And he held 355 different patents, the most famous of which was he was the inventor of Dynamite. Now here's what happened to Mr. Nobel. His brother died while he was still alive. And some newspaper reporter got all confused about it and thought it was Alfred Nobel that died. And so when he wrote the obituary, he called him the messenger of death. Needless to say, Mr. Nobel did not like that characterization of his life. So here's the point that I'm trying to make. Well, first of all, Mr. Nobel, upon seeing this obituary, had a change of mindset. He also owned a company that was originally an iron company, and he made it into a munitions. He became a munitions manufacturer of cannon and other armaments. So he was known for destructive elements. He decided that wasn't the way he wanted to be known in life. So what he did is, in his will, he bequeathed his fortune, which is quite considerable, to establishing what is now known as the Nobel Prize, where the recipients receive money and they have a whole formula for determining who's going to receive the different prizes. And as you probably know, if you don't know much more than what I've just told you, is it's a very, very, very prestigious award to receive. And so now Mr. Nobel is known for the Nobel Peace Prize, or the Nobel Prizes. And that's what he wanted. In trying to make this a learning experience, let's do something. Let's give ourselves a dynamite reputation. That's on the positive, not on the negative. All right? Write an obituary, a true account of your life up to this moment. Ask yourself the following questions. If you were to die today, would you be dying happy? Would you be satisfied the direction that your life is headed? Are you happy with what it is that you're creating? What's missing from your life? What was it that you wanted to accomplish that you didn't accomplish? And what do you need to do to make sure that your life, that your obituary, is complete? Now, I was talking to a young man the other day, and I asked him, just standard questions. What do you do? He goes, well, I work for a company that helps people find jobs. Okay, that's a good thing. What are your dreams, though? I mean, he was a young guy. He's in his early 20s. What is it you want to do? Oh, I don't know. You've got to have some sort of a dream, some sort of an ambition. Because if you don't, all you're going to do is you're like a ship without a rudder. You're just wandering and wandering and wandering. So one of the things that's kind of important is that you have some sort of direction, that you don't just meander into job after job after job after job. That's not going to get you where you want to go. And there are so many distractions out there that keep people there that people are coasters. And you don't want to live your life as a coaster. You want to live your life with a purpose. So take a minute, write your own obituary as to what you want to do, how you want to be remembered, and see how that comes out. Are you going in the direction that you want to go? So give yourself some quiet thinking time and figure, where do you want to be? So if you're a serious student of personal development, take some time, give some thought, and write your own obituary. The way you want it to be written, the way you want to be remembered, the way that you've accomplished what you want to accomplish in life. Our thought for the day is, all creatures, the low and the high, are one with nature. If we have the wisdom to learn, all may teach us their virtues. As no two elements of nature are in conflict, so when we perceive the ways of nature, we remove conflict from within ourselves and discover a harmony of body and mind in accord with the flow of the universe. And that quote is from Master Khan. And because we never end our meetings on a philosophical note, please send some comments in. Help me as a parent. Let me know if I'm doing things right. Let me know what you would do instead. And because we never end our meetings on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.